This is part 2 of my series of short stories. I hope you enjoyed this one. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm excited to share this story with you. Please make sure to leave me a comment so I know what you think. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. I would love to have you here. Let's get started. Ava had rules that kept her heart safe, her career spotless, and her world predictable. She didn't mix business with pleasure. She didn't revisit old wounds, and she never, ever looked back. But rules are easy to follow until she walks back into your life. It had been 7 years since Ava last saw Elise. 7 years since a fiery summer fling had turned into something too big, too real, and too terrifying for either of them to handle. Back then, Ava was just starting law school, and Elise was the wild-hearted artist who painted sunsets on broken rooftops. Their worlds collided like sparks on gasoline and burned out just as fast. Or, so Ava thought. One rainy evening in Chicago, Ava walked into a charity gala hosted by her firm. She was dressed in her usual armor, sleek black dress, hair pinned, smile practiced. The event was just another night of networking, another chance to secure her future, but as she navigated the chattering crowd, her eyes caught a splash of color amidst the sea of black suits and cocktail dresses. A painting. It hung on the far wall, a burst of pinks and purples, vibrant and alive, and beneath it, scrunched in the corner like a rebellious signature, the artist's name. Elise. She stood there watching Elise talking to a group of art collectors, her hair a softer brown now, framing a face that was still as beautiful and captivating as Ava remembered. Their eyes met across the room, and for a moment the chatter faded. The lights dimmed, and all that existed was the pull between them, the undeniable connection that had once bound them together. The event continued, but Ava found it hard to focus. She sipped her champagne, observing Elise from afar, watching her laugh, the way her eyes sparkled, and how her presence seemed to light up the room. Memories flooded back, uninvited and overwhelming. Sunsets on a rooftop, stolen kisses, and whispered promises, dreams shared under a sky full of stars. Suddenly, Elise was beside her, a soft smile gracing her lips. Still chasing perfection, Elise teased, her eyes twinkling with amusement. "And you're still impossible," Ava replied, her voice steadier than she felt. The mention of perfection brought back a flood of memories of heated arguments. Ava's insistence on order and Elise's wild spirit that chafed against boundaries. They had been young, passionate, and utterly incompatible. Yet, somehow, they had made it work, or at least tried to, until they burned each other out. Their conversation flowed easily, catching up on lost time, exchanging stories of the past 7 years, but there was an undercurrent, a tension that grew with every shared smile, every lingering touch, a silent acknowledgement of what once was and what could still be. As the evening wore on, Ava found herself drawn deeper into Elise's orbit, her carefully constructed world tilting on its axis. The rules she'd held so dear suddenly seemed suffocating. When it was time to leave, they stepped out into the rain-washed Chicago night. Ava hesitated, unsure what to do next. She had driven separately and now stood with a damp umbrella caught between the pull of Elise's presence and the need to maintain the distance she'd so carefully crafted. But Elise didn't seem to feel the need for space. She took a step closer, her eyes searching Ava's face. "Can I see you again? Just coffee, maybe," she asked tentatively, reaching out to tuck a stray strand of hair behind Ava's ear. The touch sent shivers down Ava's spine. It was a feeling she had missed, craved even, but had convinced herself she no longer desired. But how could she say no when her own heart was echoing Elise's unspoken desires? Ava knew the reunion could append her carefully ordered world, but the prospect of losing Elise again was unbearable. She nodded slowly, unable to speak past the lump in her throat. It was a small concession, but in that moment, it felt monumental. As they parted ways, the city lights blurring in the rain, Ava knew her life was about to change. The next day, Ava woke up restless. She tossed in bed, the sheets tangled around her, replaying the previous night's encounter over and over in her mind. The casual banter, the stolen glances, the unspoken tension. Then there was Elise, her spirit, her passion, her art, a stark contrast to Ava's structured, predictable life. She got up, the city noises pressing against her windows, a symphony of sirens and honking horns. Ava had always found solace in the rhythm of the city, in its familiarity. But today, it sounded discordant, out of tune. She needed to see Elise, to feel the warmth of her presence, to hear her laughter again. Later that day, Ava found herself standing outside Elise's door, her hand hovering over the doorbell. She took a deep breath and pressed the button. The door swung open and there she was, her hair tied back, paint splattered on her shirt, a canvas leaning against the door. "You came," Elise said, surprise softening her features. They spent the day together, talking, laughing, sharing stories of the past 7 years. Elise showed Ava her paintings, each stroke a testament to her talent, her passion, her fire. Ava watched her, captivated, as she moved around her studio, a whirlwind of creativity and energy. Over cups of coffee, they talked about their lives. Ava learned about Elisa's travels, her exhibitions, her dreams, and Elise listened patiently as Ava spoke about her career, her triumphs and struggles in the legal world. Ava shared snippets of her life, careful not to reveal too much, not wanting to expose the vulnerabilities she kept hidden from the world. But Elise was a patient listener, understanding the walls Ava had built around her heart. As the day slipped into evening, Ava found herself opening up like she never had before. The walls crumbled, revealing the woman she once was, the woman she had buried deep inside. With Elise, she was free to be herself, unafraid, unashamed. Later, as twilight painted the sky in hues of purple and pink, Elise suggested they go out for dinner. They strolled through the bustling streets, hand in hand, feeling the energy of the city envelop them. Laughter spilled from their lips as they shared stories, their voices blending with the urban symphony. Over dinner, their conversation turned deeper, touching upon dreams, aspirations, and the choices that had led them to this point in their lives. Ava found herself revealing more, sharing the ambitions she had kept hidden, the fears that had driven her to build her formidable walls. Elise listened intently, her eyes filled with understanding and admiration. As the evening drew to a close, Ava realized she had never felt so seen, so understood by anyone. Standing beneath the glow of the city lights, their hands intertwined, they knew they had found something special, a connection that transcended time, a love worth fighting for. The following days turned into weeks. Ava and Elise explored the city together, venturing into art galleries, cozy cafes, and hidden bookstores. They talked for hours, sharing their thoughts, dreams, and fears, their connection deepening with each passing moment. But as their bond grew, so did Ava's apprehension. She had come to cherish these moments, the laughter, the shared glances, the stolen kiss. But she knew their different worlds could pull them apart. She was a lawyer, her life bound by rules and regulations, while Elise was an artist, her soul free and unbound. One rainy afternoon, as they sat in Elise's apartment sipping hot chocolate, the truth of their situation settled between them. Ava's carefully constructed world was crashing against Elise's boundless spirit, and she knew their paths could diverge at any moment. The day came when Elise received a call from a gallery in New York offering her a solo exhibition. It was her big chance, a dream come true. But it meant leaving Chicago, leaving Ava. When Elise broke the news to Ava, the weight of their impending separation pressed heavily on them. In the quiet moments that followed, Ava knew she had a choice to make. Should she hold on tightly to the life she had built, sacrificing the chance at love with Elise, or should she take a leap of faith, embrace the unknown, and fight for a future with her? It was a rainy Tuesday when Ava decided to follow her heart. She found Elise packing, her face etched with worry. "What's wrong, Ava? You know about New York," Elise said, her voice laced with concern. Ava took a deep breath. "I've made a decision," she began, her voice trembling slightly. "I'm coming with you." The words hung in the air, heavy with emotion. Elise's eyes widened, disbelief and joy battling in their depths. "Are you sure?" she whispered, unable to hide the tears welling up. "Never let me go," Ava said, her voice firm, her gaze unwavering. "Not again." And as they embraced, the rain continued its steady drumbeat on the window pane, a soundtrack to their love story, a testament to their resilience, a promise of a new beginning.